Everybody please settle down. We are starting. Please stand up for prayer.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam, Sufalam, Malayaj Sheetalam, Shasya Shamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhrajyosna Pulakitayamini, Pullakusumita Drumadala Shobhini, Suhasini, Sumadhura Bhashini, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram.
Please be seated. Graduation is not the end. It is just the beginning. Good morning, everyone. We have gathered here today to celebrate the graduation ceremony of 2017 batch. I am Dr. Harini Mullapodi, Vice Principal Academics, Geetham Institute of Medical Sciences and Research, and I am honored to have the opportunity to host today. First of all, on behalf of our third batch of MBBS students, I would like to welcome you all for their graduation ceremony. I also want to thank all the parents, family, and friends for their love and constant support. I welcome all the dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, and all the faculty of GIMSAR on this magnificently glorious day. Now, I request our Principal Madam, Dr. I. Jyoti Padmajagaru, to give welcome address.
Dignitaries on the dais, Medical Superintendent GIMSAR, Dr. VVL Narasimharao Garu, Dean Academics, Dr. S.P. Rao, Registrar Geetham University, Professor Gunavardhan Garu, Honorable Vice Chancellor Geetham University, Professor Dayananda Siddhavattam Garu, Governing Body Member, Mr. Tapovardhan, Honorable President of Geetham University, Sri M. Sri Bharat Garu, Pro VC Medical Sciences, Dr. Geetanjali. Our chief guest of today's function, Professor Sanjay Zodpey, President, Public Health Association of India. Dignitaries of the dais, Pro-Vice Chancellors, Deans, Principals, Heads of the departments, faculty, students who are graduating today and their proud parents, JIMSR extends a hearty welcome to all of you. So this is a memorable day on which we are having the third graduation ceremony of JIMSR. At the outset, I would like to congratulate all the graduates and also the parents. So the batch has done well with 5 distinctions and 33 first classes. So this was the batch that also won the Leben Johnson Award for the Smart Ideathon in 2021. And Dr. Swati Reddy of this batch has made us proud by delivering a lady in a moving train. I also remember your outreach activities where you were sponsoring an orphanage and a school. And I will also remember you fondly because you were the first batch I taught after I came to this college. So it's been a long journey, and this is one milestone, and there are many more to come. I know some of you will be joining post-graduation shortly. Some of you might be practicing, or some of you might be going abroad for higher studies. Or maybe some of you may also diversify into other professions. But whatever you do, always try to do your best. And now also remember that you are moving out from a sheltered atmosphere into the world. So learn to be worldly wise and also always be happy. I wish you all the best, and I will end with one of the quotes of Sir William Osler. We always say medicine is not only a science, but it's also an art. So what he said was, the practice of medicine is an art and not a trade. So it's a calling and not a business. A calling in which your heart will be exercised equally with your head. So don't forget the affective domain. Thank you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our Dean Academics, JIMSR, Dr. S.P. Rao Garu, to address the gathering.
Honorable President of Geetam, Shri Bharat Garu, President PHFI, Dr. Sanjay Zodpey, Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Dayananda Garu, Honorable Dr. Geetanjali, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Geetam University, Dr. Jyoti Padmaja Garu, Principal, and all the respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. It gives me great pleasure to congratulate all of you. The batch I still remember in 2017, the newly passed out 12th standard students entering into medical college. And after 4.5 years and 1 year of training, you're all going out with a prefix and DR added to your name. So I congratulate all of you. Wish you all the best. And most of you must be aspirants of post-graduation seats. I'm happy to share with you that we started training our medical students right from first year to final year in answering the multiple choice questions which are in line with USMLE and PG NEET examinations. So wish you all the best in future, and I hope you will join, most of you will join our postgraduate courses. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our Pro Vice Chancellor Medical Sciences, Dr. Geetanjali Ma'am, to enlighten the gathering with her valuable words.
Our esteemed Chief Guest, Professor Sanjay Zodpey, Vice Chancellor, Professor Dayananda Siddhavattam, President Shri M. Shri Bharat, Registrar Dr. Gunashekaran, Dean, Principal, Medical Superintendent, distinguished guests, heads of the departments, faculty, parents, and the graduating students of GIMSR. Good morning. I consider it an honor and privilege to stand before all of you on the occasion of the third graduation day of GIMSR. It is always a matter of pride for any institution to have its graduates leave its portals, and GIMSR is no exception. Those who entered the gates of this institution 5.5 years ago, perhaps a little bit bewildered, and now they are all grown into full-fledged doctors with the knowledge and skills to serve the public and to uphold the principles and ethics of their profession. Congratulations to all the graduates. Well done. I'm sure all the parents here will recall the first day they walked into this institution, holding the hands of their children perhaps, and wondering whether they have made the right decision. I can assure you, you did. Medicine is a very hard taskmaster and a very stubborn and uncompromising mistress, and one that leaves all the people who are privileged to have studied it and practiced it enveloped in its magic, feeling enchanted and invigorated, at least, I would say, most of the time. Your batch had to go through the testing times of the pandemic and saw for yourselves the havoc an infection could wreak and the manner in which the medical fraternity came together to save those who were affected. GIMSR was the first hospital to have been assigned as a COVID hospital in Vizag, and some of the young faculty have shared with me the stories of that time. It is not that we got everything right, but it was the intention at GIMSR to get things done that no one had a clue at that time, which I really hold dear. At GIMSR, I see a spark of better times to come. As we strengthen our hospital care services by improving what we have and starting many new services, we recognize that our students will be able to have the patient interactions that is the cornerstone of medicine. At the same time, we have strengthened our simulation lab to allow our students to learn the skills that cannot be practiced on patients. The ambience and culture of GIMSR facilitates self-directed learning and encourages our students to become lifelong learners, capable of providing medical care in the most challenging environments. This was, of course, ably demonstrated by Dr. Swati when she single-handedly delivered a baby in a moving train. What else could be a better illustration of the training she has received in GIMSR? The mission and vision of any institution can be fulfilled only if there is a commitment from faculty, staff, students, and the management. At Geetham, we are privileged to have high-caliber faculty, conscientious support staff, and a management that cares about quality and not quantity. As I have said before, my role as Pro VC of Medical Sciences has been and will be to lead the way and to facilitate, enable, and empower each and every staff, student, and faculty to reach their maximum potential. I believe that we have, in this small time, in some sense, seen all-round growth. They may not be in the speed in which we would have liked it to be, but we have built on our strengths. We have addressed some of the challenges and weaknesses and also taken advantage of the opportunities that have presented itself. I congratulate all the parents here for trusting this institution and for the sacrifices you have made to give your child a good medical education. I wish all the awardees and the graduates who are here to receive their degrees, whether in person or in absentia, congratulations once again, and may you have a wonderful future in your chosen path. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your energetic words. Now, I request our Vice Chancellor, Geetham deemed to be University, Professor Dayananda Siddhavattam Garu, to address the gathering.
Morning to you all. Today's chief guest, Professor Sanjay Zodpey, President Bharat, and the other dignitaries on the dais, and graduating students, parents. I am really proud to stand in front of the graduating students because this is the proudest moment in your academic career. And you are making the institution proud, you are making yourself proud, and you are making your parents proud. But at the same time, I am standing in front of you to remind you some of the important things that you need to do once you go out of this institution. Either to serve to the country as a practicing doctor or to join in a team to discover some of the new things that makes mankind survive for a longer period with sustenance. In 1947, when India is declared independent country, the country was actually predicted to suffer from two important things. One is want of antibiotics. And the second, most of the babies to be born in this young country was predicted to be taking birth with color blindness because of vitamin deficiency. In 70 years, we have made the predictions of the pundits wrong. Now, we are exporting the antibiotics to the rest of the world rather than importing from the developing nations. But this journey is not very easy. It was very strong, very hard. When we tried to import antibiotics from the developing nations, we used to exchange with our agriculture produce. And still, if we want to import more, they used to reduce the agriculture products price to half. Our cotton, our tobacco, our rice, they used to take only for half of the values when they want to send us antibiotics. And that was the history. And now you have in front of you the biggest challenge. The antibiotics that were discovered about 70 years ago and their variants made by the chemists are no longer effective. And they are intended to kill the bugs, but I must tell you, the germs are much smarter than humans. They developed resistance. You have escape pathogens, 5 pathogens declared by WHO. I must tell you, none of the existing antibiotics are going to control them, and you need to actually work hard to discover new magic bullets that controls these escape pathogens. We at Geetam created wonderful infrastructure to work on drug discovery. We are bringing chemists, we are bringing physicists, we are bringing computer professionals, programmers to work on drug discovery and to develop new strategies of delivering the drugs. This is a multidisciplinary activity Geetam has initiated, and this activity is attracting the national attention. My only request to the faculty of GIMSA and students of GIMSA, if you are pursuing graduation or post-graduation in GIMSA, please participate in drug discovery research and join hands with our basic scientists working in Geetam School of Sciences and Geetam School of Pharmacy. We together make really wonders. We together can show to the rest of the world and rest of the nation that interdisciplinarity is the buzzword, and it is only going to be the savior of our mankind. With these few words, I once again congratulate all of you for getting good grades and passing out with distinctions, and I wish you all the best. Long live Geetam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. Now, I request our young and dynamic president, Geetham deemed to be University, Shri M. Shri Bharat Garu, to share his thoughts with our budding doctors.
Morning, students. In many ways, you're a lucky institution. Can one of you guess why you are lucky is visible in front of me? Any guesses? You're able to graduate with your family watching you physically. That's not the case in many of our graduations. In fact, all of our other graduations, we are not able to fit in the family members within the same hall. I'm hearing chirping of children in the back and your grandparents and parents and aunts and uncles. So this is a special moment for you to celebrate along with them. I have some thoughts for you and for your family that are here. I want to thank our chief guest, Professor Sanjay Zodpey, for accepting our invitation. So he's leading the Public Health Foundation of India. So when we had COVID, the pandemic, it's a public health crisis. And as a country, I think we were running against time to catch up with it. And the predecessor of Professor Sanjay, Dr. Srinath Reddy, is on the advisory board of Geetham, someone I respect greatly. And Professor Sanjay, he speaks very highly of you, sir, and I think you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, because next time we get something like a COVID as a country, I think we should be much more prepared. And I think the idea of One Health and health going beyond the health of human beings, but of all living beings, I think is something that's very important for the survival of humanity. Because COVID as a disease was not very fatal, I think we were able to live through it by losing only few people compared to some other more deadly diseases. Why is this important for you all? You're going into a future where the world is changing rapidly. One of the things that is protecting you today is regulation. But if regulation were not to be as rigid, artificial intelligence will do almost all of the work that you do right now as a medical graduate. Are you aware of that? Yes? In fact, it will do better. For our radiologists, I believe that there is technology today that will identify tumors and diseases 6 months before a human eye can identify it. So what does this mean? That the world is changing so rapidly, technology is changing so rapidly, that if you don't stay on top of the developments in your field, and if you don't identify how you are going to be unique, and I'm going to elaborate on what being unique means. And both leaders speaking before me had mentioned Swati. I had spoken to Swati when she had helped deliver the baby. Now, I asked Swati how much of your skills helped you, right? So she said I was lucky that I was able to have a gynecology posting, so I had some experience doing it. But in the train, she didn't have any equipment. And she could have easily said that I'm not a doctor, or put the blanket back on her face and say, I don't want to deal with this. And even when she went there, I think skill was a part, yes. But the more important part was character, which is doing the right thing even when nobody is watching. And I think that will distinguish between a human being and technology or artificial intelligence as we proceed. So if we don't do the right thing when nobody is watching, I know that all of you have this environment where academic integrity and discipline towards your academics is questionable. I can't say that all of you are extremely committed towards your academics, but you're here. That means you've crossed the bar. But passing an exam doesn't mean mastery over a subject. And passing an exam or getting a degree is merely the beginning, it's not the end. And as the speakers have said, unfortunately in the medical field, if you want to do advanced care, an undergraduate degree is insufficient. How many of you are happy that you're a doctor now that you've graduated? Raise hands. About 60-70% are shyly raising their hands. So I don't know what the other 30% are thinking. Maybe your parents forced you into this field. So to all the parents and family members here, I know that you've spent a lot of money, close to 1 crore. But now the undergraduate degree is completed. It's sunk cost. Money is gone. So the argument for the future should not be, I have spent 1 crore, hence you should continue. And why I'm saying this, and I think an example that the Vice Chancellor has given, is that practicing medicine or practicing healthcare is the primary pathway that many of you will take, but it is not the only pathway. There are many things that India require in the area of healthcare, which is including but not limited to research on drug discovery, new treatment methodologies, new equipment, which all of you can go in, and that doesn't require you to go and study a postgraduate degree in medicine. Or you can become a public health specialist, like how Professor Sanjay is here, help develop the public health infrastructure. You could become a manager. Believe me, we are searching for good managers in this institution and also in other institutions in healthcare. It has been extremely difficult. Some of your parents may be doctors here, and some of them may also be running hospitals or clinics and believe that they're good managers. Believe me, many of them are not. Because management is a different trade, and that requires you to think like a people manager, and it requires different skill sets, different experiences. So if you want to go study an MBA, great. I'll encourage that also. So what I'm trying to say is that yes, in some sense you have limited your choice set by studying a medical degree, but that doesn't mean that it's a very small path. There are many opportunities from here also. But for all of these paths, what's important is that you dream big, because I have a selfish agenda. If you do well, Geetam does well. So I would like you to do well for yourself, for your family, and for the trust that they have placed in us, and for the good of Geetam, because as an institution, we are very ambitious. As Dr. Geetanjali mentioned, we are not where we want to be, but we're trying to get there. And it comes with a lot of hard work and a lot of effort. Some of the students may perceive it that we have become much more stricter. I don't know, you are graduating, so you're experiencing it less than your juniors. But it is essential that the organization move in a certain trajectory which is different from where it began. And that requires for us to take difficult decisions, bring good people into the team, empower members of the team who are already committed to doing good, and build the organization into something that India has few examples of. To all doctors and family members and students here, I have surveyed the landscape of healthcare institutions in the country. Unfortunately, it's a very bleak picture. There are very few good institutions that I can count on my fingers, and there are many that are mediocre and poor. And unfortunately, we live in a regulatory environment where satisfying the regulatory need seems to be far more important to any administrator than furthering the quality of patient care and education. So this is an uphill battle for us, but one that we're committed to fight. And we can only do so with the support of our students, our parents' community, our faculty members, because when you're swimming against the tide, you have a lot of pressure that you have to overcome. In spite of all of this, I want to congratulate the entire leadership team and faculty and students that finally the much desired recognition for the medical college has been achieved about a month or two ago, something that we were due to get in 2020, something worth clapping for. Yeah. We were supposed to get it in 2020, but because of the pandemic that was delayed and we were just being given annual extensions, finally we have received the recognition, which means more than an achievement, it is relief. For 5 years, I have NMC not looking into me, which gives me some opportunity to operate with freedom and do the right thing instead of being worried about what the regulators care about. And I think this is an opportunity for all the leaders here to make the most of this time that is ahead of us and do what is necessary to transform the institution. The institutions that are represented by some of our faculty, some of our leaders are inspirations to us. We will learn from them. And if some of the students here choose to come back to Geetham for their post-graduation, we welcome it. We look forward to having you continue with us on the journey. I don't know if some of you have already considered that option. To all of the parents, this is a lot of money that you have invested, and for many of you, it is because you just want to see your child as a doctor, and after that, no questions asked. But for some of you, it may also be that you want to financially establish your child, and money is an ingredient that matters. And I have been speaking to many students, many graduates, particularly those who are working in large cities. The medical profession is no longer as remunerative as it was perceived to be. It doesn't pay that much anymore. And many people are telling me that after 15 years of doing masters and fellowships and everything, they're regretting why they got into medicine in the first place. I'm not saying that's our students here. But what I'm trying to say is that there has to be something that motivates you much more than money to continue in this profession. A basic standard of living you may, but if you want to get back the investment that is put, 1 crore for this, 2-3 crores for PG, and then whatever else, I don't know if the economics will ever make sense. So I request the parents over here who obviously stretched their wallets to educate their children, that the entire country needs to change if the economic future of the doctors has to change. But otherwise, doctors will get middling pay increasingly in urban areas, and it won't be, not in the not so distant future, I think even engineers are making an entry pay equal to what doctors are making, right? So it's not, I don't want to paint a bleak or sad picture, but I'm trying to say is that 6 years are done, you're here, but there's a lot more in this joy, right? And why am I saying this? Again, coming back to Swati, I posted about her delivering this baby. It was the most liked LinkedIn post on my page ever, right? And on Geetham also the same on Instagram. So there's some magic in this profession that others are not able to elucidate. And this is a seemingly simple incident. She was doing her job, right? If I was an engineer, I go and fix something, I don't get these many likes. But as a doctor, you save lives, you're looked at as God. So there's a lot of power in that, and there's a lot of altruism. And I want you to tap that side of you, of your family, further yourselves. I'll be the most proud if people say that your doctors are good human beings, more than saying that they're excellent at their field. If you're excellent at your field, it's good, but it's like a mercenary for hire. It doesn't inspire as much. But if you're a good person, and if you're caring for people, I think you'll go very far in your life, and that's a life worth living, and a life that will inspire us all and make us proud that you are our alumni. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your friendly advice. Now, Dr. P. Suchitra from Department of Pediatrics will be introducing our chief guest for our graduation ceremony.
Good morning, respected dignitaries, faculty, parents, and dear students. Graduation Day represents years of perseverance and endeavor. For some, it's a pinnacle. For many, it's a landmark. And for most, it is a prominent milestone for your further accomplishments. To inspire us and confer degrees, today we have with us our chief guest, who is a person of distinct vision, an idol of knowledge and experience. His background as an epidemiologist, public health scientist, award-winning educator, and thought leader on public health uniquely position him to drive national and global public health agenda. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our chief guest for today's graduation ceremony, Professor Sanjay Zodpey. He is trained public health professional with multidisciplinary qualifications. Sir has completed his medical education, MBBS, MD in community medicine and PhD from Government Medical College, Nagpur. He also acquired postgraduate qualifications in sociology, public administration and economics from Nagpur University. Professor Zodpey is the president of Public Health Foundation of India. This foundation is a public-private initiative which aims at strengthening training, research, and policy development in the area of public health. An institutional builder, he was instrumental in setting up Indian institutes of public health all across India. As a voice of academic medicine and public health, he speaks extensively on the need to transform health professional education for creating competent and motivated health professionals. Sir has been a member of numerous distinguished panels, advisory groups, technical task force, academic and research committees both nationally and internationally. He has held joint appointment as the honorary professor in 5 international universities across USA, Australia, and Nepal. He has featured in the top 2% scientists across the world for his research contribution in tropical medicine for 3 consecutive years as a part of the worldwide ranking of scientists. His current research interests include global health, health system research, health workforce development, and education of health professionals. His contribution to public health are immense and have been recognized through several awards and honors. Just to name a couple of them, he has been felicitated by Maharashtra government with COVID Warrior Award in appreciation of outstanding commitment and dedication. In May this year, in recognition for his selfless service and unwavering commitment to public health, he was conferred Doctor of Medicine by University of Sydney, Australia. So we are indeed very fortunate to have Professor Zodpey gracing this solemn and ceremonial event today, to look up to as a role model and a torchbearer. Thank you.
We are very fortunate to have you with us, sir. Now, I request our President and Vice Chancellor to felicitate our chief guest. Now, I request our chief guest, Professor Sanjay Zodpey Garu, President, Public Health Foundation of India, to deliver the graduation day address.
Thank you so much for this generous introduction. Good morning. Shri Bharat Garu, President of GITAM, Professor Dayanand Siddhavatam, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Gitanjali, Pro Vice Chancellor JIMSR, Dr. I. Jyoti Padmaja, Principal of JIMSR, Dr. S.P. Rao, Dean Academics at JIMSR, members of the Board of Management, distinguished leadership of the university, faculty, staff, students, graduating students, and parents of graduating students, and ladies and gentlemen. This is an extraordinary privilege for me to visit this campus and be a part of today's celebrations. I would like to congratulate all the graduating students for having acquired undergraduate degree in medicine. You have now the huge responsibility. Shri Bharat Garu spoke about the investment, and this investment is not only in terms of finances, but you also invested close to 5 years of life on this campus. It's an investment for your parents, looking from a multiple perspectives. And therefore now, you have a huge responsibility towards your family and parents. But having said that, being a part of medical profession itself is a huge responsibility for all of us. And now you also have become a part of this profession. We need to recognize that being a medical doctor is so noble and so contributory to the humanity and society. We have completed 75 years of our independence. On several fronts, we have remarkable and tremendous progress that is so visible globally. Health sector also has moved forward quite significantly. In 1947, the life expectancy of our country was around 36, 37 years. We have now the life expectancy of 69 years. Considerable progress. But we also need to recognize and realize that we are still the second lowest life expectancy in Southeast Asia. Our infant mortality rate has very consistently dropped down to 27 per 1,000 live births. But it doesn't well compare with 6 and 8 per 1,000 live births in Thailand and Sri Lanka. With a population of around 18% global population that we host in India, now 1.4 plus billion population, we have around 22 to 23% of tuberculosis burden in India. Unfortunately, we are labeled as the diabetes capital of the world. Inequities are so visible and so rampant in our country. A girl child born in Chhattisgarh or Madhya Pradesh or some state in northern India is 5 times more likely to die as compared to a girl child born in Kerala. So in the lottery of life in India, it matters where you are born. If you are born in Kerala or Tamil Nadu, the probability a girl child would survive the first year of life is 5 times higher. So much of inequities which are visible. The size of Indian health workforce is 5 million plus as compared to China, which is 10 million plus. We have several challenges. Despite the fact that we had progressed quite well in last few years or so, last couple of decades or so, we have several initiatives both in the health and education sector which positioned ourselves in a better way, but we have a long way to go. And why I'm saying so is because our national bird is peacock and not the ostrich. If we really wanted to fix our problems, we'll have to look around to see where are those lying and then fix those problems. We cannot be like ostrich. Having said this, I wanted to remind you, therefore, that you have a huge responsibility of shouldering the healthcare of 1.4 billion people. I'm aware that some of you might migrate to other pastures, greener pastures, but now you are also hearing that there is a reverse migration, and India provides a tremendous opportunity to contribute to. From that perspective, it is important to realize that this huge responsibility that you would be shouldering, which is your commitment to the nation and to the commitment to the society, in addition to your responsibilities towards your family. Remember 3 things in your life: excellence, equity, and impact. Whatever you do, Excellence should be the hallmark, and that would help you to create your own signature. 10 years down the line, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years down the line, we all are introduced is because of the signature that we all create. And who is responsible for creating the signature is ourselves. We create our own signature. Remember that excellence remains the hallmark for whatever you do in your life. Keep in always mind the principles of equity. Whatever I am trying to do or whatever I am engaged into, any smaller task or a bigger task, remind yourself, is it addressing equity? Because inequities are so rampant in our country and globally for that matter also. Being in this profession, we are the custodian of addressing inequities. Therefore, remember that. And third important thing I wanted to mention is about the impact. Whatever we do, it has to have the impact. Impact could be a smaller one, bigger one. If you remind yourself the excellence, equity, and impact, I think 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, not only that your family and neighborhood, but everybody would be proud of your contributions to the human society, which all needs to be remembered about. The another important point that I wanted to bring it to your notice is about health lies beyond the health sector. And why I'm saying so? Because our health is impacted because of several factors which are beyond health sector. Our health is impacted because of climate and environment, which we don't have control. Our health is impacted because of several social determinants for which we don't have control within the health sector. Our health is impacted several policies which are beyond the health sector, like taxation policies of the government, which impacts our health. And therefore, when we deal with the health, keep that multidisciplinarity of viewpoint in engaging in advancing the healthcare agenda, which is important for all of us. And that's the difference between medicine and when we talk about public health. Medicine means delivering health in retail, but public health means delivering health in wholesale for that matter. Because our problems are such big, we'll have to keep always that issue into the mind. Having talked to you about these two thoughts in the context that I wanted to deliberate, I would also like to congratulate Shri Bharat Garu for this creating exemplary enterprise in this part of the country. When you talk about PPP, says that, and everybody says that PPP means public-private initiative at times, you know. But the time has to come to re-articulate and redesign PPP. PPP means private, but for public purpose. This enterprise, it may be a private entity, but it has public purpose. Creating doctors, creating education, contributing to the university as such. That we all should recognize an immense contribution that enterprise that we have created here. And the education that is offered is transformative. I learned from the leadership when I was discussing some of the new educational initiatives and the way the education is imparted. Because I am a strong advocate of moving from informative to formative and formative to the transformative learning and education. Because we all believe that informative education means transfer of knowledge and skills, which would help us to create experts. But when you talk about a formative, it actually adds values, ethics, and morals to what knowledge and skills would require, which would create not only experts, but the professionals. And finally, what is more important and critical is to have a transformative education in addition to the elements that we talked about, creating change agents. And each one of you is expected from a university point of view, from the institution point of view, to be a change agent in driving the agenda of the health sector. That remains the hallmark and that remains the critical issue for all of us. From the research point of view also, we need to recognize that as an institution, research is merely a tool. What ultimately benefits to the society is the knowledge. And when you talk about knowledge, it has two components, knowledge generation and knowledge translation. Knowledge generation as faculty and researchers gives us the thrills of discovery. But knowledge actually translation gives you the sense of satisfaction of the purpose being fulfilled. And therefore it is wisely and rightly said that science is sterile if it lacks the social relevance. and policies would crumble on cliff it if they are not firmly placed on a pedestal of valid science. And therefore, we have to always actually should be in search of how the evidence actually help us to create policies, how those policies are evidence-based, but also are grounded to the ground realities. At times, we find a lot of disconnect, and how we all contribute to reducing that disconnect and gap is more important. I initiated my talk quoting certain statistics and numbers. Let me end up my talk by narrating story, because it says that scientists love statistics and numbers, but the people love stories. Let me tell you a story of, in the context of policy, a story of centipede and owl. There was a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Centipede, living in a jungle. And you know, centipede, different varieties and breeds of centipede have multiple pairs of legs. And I'm talking about a story of a Mr. and Mrs. Centipede who had 100 pairs of legs. Happily living couple, getting older and older, and Mr. Centipede complains to his wife that now these 100 pairs of legs, and now we are growing older, and therefore now there is a pain in legs and walking and crawling and challenges around that. As all wives would do, Mr. Centipede advised Mr. Centipede that, why don't you consult a wise person in the jungle to find a solution to a problem that you have of now developing pain, and how do you resolve that pain and finding panacea to the pain that you have in all the pairs of your legs. And therefore, Mr. Centipede decided to visit Mr. Owl, the wise person in the jungle, and went to Owl and tells his own problem. And